Thomas Allen is back on the podcast. And guys, I'm not going to lie to you. The dude has had a reign of terror on turkeys this season. You're not going to want to miss this one. It's all right here, right now on Gun Talk Hunt.
Hey, I'm KJ, dedicated lifelong hunter here. If you got an interest in all things hunting, you're in the right spot. Whether chasing quail across the plains of Oklahoma or in pursuit of elk in the backcountry of British Columbia, you'll always find me on the hunt.
All right, welcome in, Gun Talk Hunters. I'm your host, KJ, and we are back with, honestly, he's been on the show more than anybody I know. He could take over the show in a heartbeat. Mr. Thomas Allen joins us. Thomas, how you doing?
I'm great, Kevin. Thanks for having me back. Like I say, you guys have low standards.
Low standards all the time, man. This episode is brought to you by Ruger. Find everything you need at Ruger.com. Range Ready Studios, get your training, and Timney Triggers. If you want a good trigger, get a Timney. I don't know if that's their slogan or not, but I just made it up for them. So we're winding turkey season down. Like, we're winding it down. I'm going to start the clock over here. We're winding turkey season down. It's getting down to the last few days in a lot of parts of the country. Some parts, it's already over. So you done missed out. Down here in South Louisiana, they don't got much. So I hit the public grounds. Oh, I think I went out twice and didn't hear a gobble, didn't hear a yelp, heard nothing, saw nothing, no birds, not a track. But I get these messages, and we all have those buddies who we love to live vicariously through during some hunting seasons. And turkey season for me, it's Thomas Allen. Every day it's Thomas Allen for me. But the dude has bombarded my phone with turkey picture after turkey picture after turkey picture. Dude, your reign of terror is almost up this year. What has been going on and what's so different?
You know, it's been another good year. And we I think at least since we've been home in Minnesota for the last 3 years, our family has tagged out. Mostly. Last year had a hiccup in Wisconsin. My daughter Taylor and I went, and it was mid-90s. It was so hot.
Yeah.
Turkeys were just sitting up underneath a cedar tree, just little neck panting. You know, they were so hot. For whatever reason, that was our tough hunt last year. This year we have not had a tough hunt. In fact, we're 12 for 12, and that does not necessarily include all my family, but I'll walk you through it quickly. Tommy and I went to Iowa, doubled on the first morning. We actually had that day and the next morning, but the next morning wouldn't have worked out because it rained like crazy. Came home, took Tommy's fishing partner. His name's Jed. Jed shot his first turkey on the first morning he hunted. The next morning, Tommy was up to bat, shot his turkey in an amazing gobble fest on snow. We had snow through part of the season.
Oh, really?
Yes, it was.
How does that change? How does that change their movements? I mean, I'm sure when it's blowing and everything, they'll probably hunker down a little bit, but are they out scratching?
Yeah, they're doing their thing. They still are. You just kind of have to, I guess, be conscientious of how you're sneaking in a place, because in Tommy's case, it's like we were walking on, eggshells, just cracking, crunching. It was loud, but we made it work. So, I mean, we didn't hunt in a blizzard, didn't hunt in snowstorms. We just hunted in remnant snow, which took a long time up here to melt. Anyways, so the next day, Tommy had his. Go ahead.
Is the snow finally melted?
There are a couple spots in town that have snow left over. The parking lot, there's some parking lot dumps that have snow in it. But
dude, I feel sorry for you guys, man. That's got to be rough. You got to be itching to get it off the roads.
I'm ready to go fishing. I mean, we're at the end of turkey season, like you said, and I mean, I'm ready to roll. But let me finish my reign of terror here. You asked.
All right.
So Tommy shot his. Couple days later, Travis, my friend from Wisconsin that I've hunted with for a lot of years, he came over, and we hunted a new property that morning, and we doubled that morning. So we're into the season there. The next hunt was my wife. She shot a turkey on her first day. It actually boiled over into the afternoon that day, though. It was like 1:00 when she shot hers. Remind me to tell you that story. It's a good one.
Well, we've got time here. You can definitely tell it here.
Well, let's finish the numbers here. And then Jed, who's Tommy's fishing buddy, his dad went on his first turkey hunt. And we shot a great bird that very first morning. The very next morning, which would have been Sunday, Taylor went. She shot the biggest spurred turkey that we've killed in Minnesota. And then a couple days after that, Taylor and I drove to the UP of Michigan and had a great friend, Scott, do all kinds of preparatory work. What's the preparation for us? Yeah. And we killed 2 birds that opening morning. So we've had a great season, no doubt. And to have it come together the way it did in the mornings or on the first day, I mean, every year I say it's been the best season of my life, but this has truly been just an amazing season. No way around it.
I mean, largely spot and stock? Are you calling these birds in? Are you sitting on field edges?
It's a mix.
What has primarily been your mode of attack here?
It depends on the property. We did get a couple new properties this year. I sent out 30 letters, knocked on 20 other doors, and ended up with 3. So I think on the numbers, it worked out kind of to our average. But and fingers crossed that we get back on there. But one place in particular is all timber, and so that was a run and gun style hunt. Jed shot his turkey there. We could go back tomorrow and kill more. There was a bunch in there. But Catherine's hunt was one of my favorites of the year. And I know we've talked about this. She's struggled over the years. We've been married 20 years now. She's struggled.
Well, that's why. She's struggling because
I teed that way up too high for you. Yeah. She struggled with shooting. And last year, she missed twice and barely killed one. And so I decided, let's just join the local gun club. Tommy was going to be on the trap team. So we did that. And she's been able to go out and shoot a bunch. And I think just burning powder has added a little bit of confidence. So her and I, our morning together started out pretty awesome. We had 3 gobblers come screaming up the hill to my left. Now she's left-handed. Okay. She's sitting on my right. We had 3 birds at 20 yards and there was no turning. She wasn't able to get in there. And so they saw the strutter decoy. And I think that was their undoing. For that particular hunt, they just weren't going to have any of it. And it can get to be a long story, but that decoy, I think we've killed 11 or 10 birds over that decoy this year. It's been, yep. They at the very least can't help but to come in and check it out. Those 3 birds, we saw them a couple other times throughout the morning. And towards the end of our hunt, they had picked up a pair of jakes and they were getting real intolerant of those jakes, chasing them around. So I at least saw their mood change from passive when they came up to the hill to when they were with those jakes. Now, this is where Thomas Allen luck comes into play. We didn't bring a lunch. So we were hungry. About noon, we decided to walk out and I got halfway back. And so the dead cat or the mic fuzzy thing that goes over the mic had fallen off of my camera on the walk back. And we walked through this big giant bean field, got to the truck, realized it was missing. Catherine volunteered to go back and get it because I was throwing a fit. Surprise. And we get in the truck, decide to circle the section, see if we can find the birds. We get back to basically where we're parked. This is where it shouldn't have happened this way, but it did. There are 5 turkeys, the 3 longbeards and the 2 jakes milling out in the field, sort of where I dropped my mic cover. And they had 200 yards anyways that they had to cover from the timber edge to where they were at currently, all in the amount of time it took us to drive around the section. So it's like they watched us from the woods. And as soon as we were out of sight, they ran out there is what it seemed like. Well, I told Catherine, we got one shot at this. Let's go back around the other side. This bean feels like a hill, so we're able to get on the back side of it. Let's take the strutter decoy and see if we can fan them. And I wasn't sure if it was going to work. It's worth a try. Those birds were shy from the decoy that morning, but let's give it a shot. So we snuck up there and we got to, I'd say 30 yards to the edge of the crown of the hill. So like we're coming up to where they're on the other side. And I'm just peeking through the feathers, just kind of got them spread out, peeking through. I can see one tiny black dot. I get down, we crawl another 30. So that fan is slowly creeping up over the hill, right?
Yeah.
And I stuck it in the dirt and I kind of just peeked around the side of it and she's right behind me. And I saw those 3 turkeys just side by side running at us. And I said, Catherine, you got to get ready to shoot. They're going to be here in 20 seconds. Well, they were right on time. And I said, shoot the first redhead you see. And she did. And it was the biggest turkey we've killed in Minnesota. 26 and a half
Really?
pounds.
How much?
26 and a half.
Oh,
So not only was it exciting to fan a turkey in, but she did it, made a great shot, right?
so
We spent some time at the range, just like I think everybody that follows your program would agree, nothing builds confidence in pulling the trigger. So
right.
we spent some time doing that. And she shot like a pro, made a 35-yard shot sitting on the ground. It was awesome.
That's
No
great.
doubt.
So for the listeners out there, and for the viewers, explain fanning, because I think a lot of people like get tied up into the fanning and the reaping and all that good stuff. So
The
give them a
fanning is
rundown of
reaping.
fanning.
Yeah, fanning is reaping, and really, safety needs to be your number one concern. I would not recommend doing it on public land, probably in any scenario. And I certainly don't recommend doing it on a property you're sharing with other hunters, or you might run into somebody. And really, it's an open field technique. I think that anytime you're in a agriculture scenario, it works really well. And essentially, the short of it is you're taking a turkey decoy, just a fan, or in our case, we're using a full flocked body sized, actual size strutter that I have zip tied wings on so they hang down. I got two fans on it, thanks to Jeremy King, because one just gets busted up, and Jeremy's like, put another one on there. And he was right. So you literally crawl behind this, and the turkeys think it's an intruder, and they generally get pretty aggressive. But a lot of times you're shooting them out of self-defense, but in this particular case, they came up the hill and they saw me and my wife sticking out either side of this
And they're like,
decoy.
wait a second.
Yeah, sounds not right.
I've been duped.
But it's, I'd say it's probably one of the most action-packed ways to kill a turkey. It's definitely not a guarantee in any way, shape, or form. You'll blow up 7 or 8 hunts before you get turkeys to even consider it. So
yeah,
it's just a technique.
It's the safety aspect for me, is especially because you've seen so many videos of these guys. They're sitting there fanning and they get peppered with some shot from the road or whatever it is. Because
I've never heard of that. And if you're getting shot,
really?
then those people, to me, it's so painfully obvious. I'm surprised it works, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, most decoys, you wonder how in the heck does that work? But there's an element to it, and there's guys with poor eyesight out there hitting the roads, and all they see is black dot, fan, shoot.
Yeah.
I mean,
you got to be considerate of where you're doing it.
And I think that's, knowing your area, knowing the people around you, and within the boundaries of your property.
Catherine said, she goes, I would have loved to have been a passing car, because the highway was 400 yards down the hill, and we're on this open field. Like, what in the heck is going on top of that hill? And it probably was a funny sight, but it was.
Oh, I bet that
doesn't
hilarious.
Work all the time, but it worked well that day.
It doesn't. But I guess it's the reaping is just the same as like walking behind one of those giant cow decoys. I've done that before. Yeah. It works. Like you said, it shouldn't work. There's no way it should work. But every once in a while you find something that works, and you find aggressive gobblers. You got to find those ones that are like, not today.
Well, those ones particularly didn't want anything to do with the strutter earlier that morning, and to have their mood change like that, it's taking all the pieces of information we gathered up to that point that I decided to give it a shot.
So what? So what made you decide to like try the reaping? Because I probably, I don't know if I would have tried it given their mood in the morning, because that'd be a hard switch to go, okay, maybe it's a little bit of movement.
Well, it's first of all, I think probably one of the key components to fanning successfully is not coming in on them too hard, not showing up, popping the fan up within 50, 60 yards. They will spook every time. It needs to be, all your circumstances have to line up. You need to be far enough away from them, probably generally in a direction that they are coming or want to go or would be willing to go. And again, their mood had changed throughout the morning. We saw those same 3 gobblers several times, and they were obvious. They had the way their beards were hanging off of them made them pretty distinguishable. And I just knew that when they were getting short-tempered with the jakes they were with, that they were probably in a little bit more of a frustrated mode. Now, it's also, hey, we're going to give this a shot. It's either going to work or it's not. It's not going to take very long.
Yeah.
And literally, I think from the minute we left our truck till she shot the turkey, it was 5 minutes.
Oh, really?
So just a matter of, we had other options beyond that to go and try elsewhere. Plus, we were hungry, forgot lunch. Don't want to be withering
It's not
away in
like
the.
you to. That's not like you to forget lunch. Like I will
No,
say
it's
that.
not.
Like that kind of shocks me.
No, but again, it was just a matter of, hey, all these circumstances played together, and it worked, and it doesn't normally work. So I mean,
Right.
to take that hunt and have it go the way it did, Catherine got a great turkey. We were both pretty happy about it.
Well, that's good, man. Hey, we're gonna jump in real quick. On the other side of this, I want to hear a little bit more about like how you killed these birds this year and just had an unbelievable spring. But let's listen to the word from these sponsors. Timney triggers. Hey, I just installed one of these on a Remington 700 action I have. It's the Remington Elite Hunter 700. It is easy to set up, easy to put in, and easy to change all, the poundage. I'm going to start this over. I need to get this shit together. Come on. All right. Timney triggers, timneytriggers.com. Since 1946, Timney has had a legacy of building triggers and giving triggers to us shooters and hunters that are easy to install ourselves. And that's the whole idea behind it. I've got one of these in my Remington 700 action. It's the Elite Hunter Model 700. So it goes in a Remington Model 700. It's really easy to adjust. And I like to keep mine right about 3.5 pounds. That seems to be a sweet spot for me. If you've got a newer shooter, I mean, heck, you can increase the poundage on it. Just find out more at timneytriggers.com. And Ruger, the Ruger SFAR is available in a 6.5 Creedmoor. Shh, don't tell anybody. But this gun might be the best kept secret out there. And hopefully word just keeps growing on this gun. 6.7 pounds to 7.2 pounds is what you're going to look at, but it's an AR-10 in this size platform as an AR-15. So it's lighter weight, heavier hitting bullets, cycles really well, and it is a shooter. I've got one in my safe right now, which I absolutely love. So find out more at Ruger.com. And hey, we've got classes here at Range Ready Studios, all available for you. We've got a diagnostic pistol course coming up June 9 and 10. What is that? That sounds really, really technical. Well, what it is if you are a firearms instructor, if you're looking to teach someone, if you're looking to diagnose your own issues in shooting and become the best shooter possible, or to train those to be best shooters, this is the class for you. This is really diagnosing your problems. And I'll be honest, I'm going to take this class. So I can't wait to get in this class and take it. And you know what? You can find out more at rangereadystudios.com. All right, we're back with Thomas Allen, and his reign of terror is just about up. And so talk to me, Sue, through maybe a couple of the products that you've used this year that have really helped you. I mean, the turkey fan, obviously, with Catherine's hunt, that was incredible. But what loads are you shooting?
We've been shooting Boss Tom. That actually is from Boss Shot Shells. They make waterfowl rounds, I think is one of their primary sources, but they make a great turkey round. And that's the thing I'm excited to move into in years to come. I really want to work on some smaller gauge shotguns. A couple years ago, you and I worked together on doing a 20 gauge thing. I'm still shooting that same 20 gauge. It's a 50-yard gun with Boss Tom rounds. They're number 7, so they're pretty small. They're tungsten. Lots of range. They're very impressive rounds. But because of the, would you call it ballistics? I don't know if ballistics is the right word. The ballistics of that shot, you can now get it effective down into a 28 gauge and a 410 shotgun.
Well, and I was going to ask you about the 28 gauge. Because a 28 gauge for Catherine, especially someone who's maybe a little bit recoil sensitive, going down to a 28 gauge, I know Benelli has one out there that is sweet.
We've talked about it, and I think she's open to the idea, but a lot of it too is just the killing power that these things have, these rounds have at longer distances. I don't want that to take away from the hunt. So I want us
Right.
to like make a good decision and get her in something that she likes, because I want her to want to shoot it. Right. That's the thing. The thing I love about a 28 gauge is that's the kind of thing she can take to the gun club here and shoot around a trap with. I think there's probably arguments to be made on how effective it is versus a 12 gauge, but it can be done. So
It can be done.
It'd be a great option for her.
Just to get her into the habit of like nice, smooth follow through and being comfortable behind the gun. I think that's everything. That's everything I want. When I'm looking for something, I'm not going like, man, really could go with some more recoil. I would love more recoil. Like that's not
Well,
what any of us, I think, say.
It's funny. I have a box of 10 gauge turkey shot that I still have in my basement that I don't know that I'll ever use again. I think I used two bullets out of it. And, it's interesting, the emergence or reemergence, if you will, of the 28 gauge and the 410 in Iowa. Just in fact, this year made legal a 28 gauge and a 410 to be legal means of take for turkey hunting. So it wasn't prior. And I know a lot of states are in that transition too. So I think this is a cool opportunity to take a lighter gun. I borrowed a Browning, the 10 gauge was a Browning Gold. It was a cool gun, Kevin. Like, well, it didn't kick that hard. The bullets were like that long, 50 yards all day long, but it was heavy.
But dude, you're getting 50-yard guns out of a 410 now. Like that's just how it is.
It's incredible.
And that to me, I mean, you can look at like Federal has some great tungsten shots, and you look at like companies, ammunition companies, and maybe that's what's really changed is the the how people are manufacturing their shells. That's really, I think, what's changed is just the production value of them.
Well, and I spent time with this 20 gauge, and I'm telling you, like the pattern is I don't remember the numbers. I'm not going to quote them because I know that I'm wrong, but it's a basketball at 50 yards still. You have some outerlying shot, but the bulk of it is still in where it needs to be at 50 yards. And I mean, I don't want to shoot a turkey at 50 over like 30 or 20. But by God, if I'm in a situation where that turkey's leaving and it's the last day, we're shooting. So I like to have the confidence knowing the shot's effective out to that distance. So that's definitely been.
Are we ranging ourselves out of being good hunters?
There's an argument to be made there. And when you get on social media, you see guys that talk about, I shot one at 62 steps and blah, blah, blah. And I definitely think that is probably a byproduct to an extent of this. And I like to have them close, but let me tell you, sometimes too close can be a problem too, no matter what you're shooting.
I'm glad you said something, because I was just about to say that I've missed more turkeys closer than I have longer. Yeah. I mean, it's just the pattern of the shot. And if you're not like patterning your shotgun, which you've written about this and you've done it, you're one of the more diligent people I know about testing his pattern and the shot and the chokes, all facets of it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I think I've probably missed 5 or 6 birds, but everyone always says, how could you miss a turkey? How could you miss a turkey with a shotgun? Oh, have you ever hunted turkeys?
I will possible. Say, it's probably the easiest critter to kill of all of the hunts that are worth experiencing. And maybe they all are, but it is a pretty simple shot to be made under perfect scenarios. But you say you've missed 5 or 6. I've missed more than I would even want to admit. It's embarrassing. And I've missed some silver platter opportunities. Now, maybe as I've aged, I've slowed down and, we're making better decisions, right? Yeah. We want things to work out that way. But with my kids, I think that's probably what's taught me to slow down, because for them to be successful, that turkey needs to be standing still, needs to be at a certain distance. And I think I've written about this a little bit, but one of the things that you don't hear talked about a lot is decoy placement. If you're bow hunting, you want those decoys at 6-7 yards. You want a nice, easy shot. Well, with the kids, I've gone to the extent of setting up the decoy whenever possible at about 25 yards. And that adds a couple inches margin of error either side, top to bottom, with the turkey. And it's increased their productivity. Now, Tommy has become a full-on assassin. He does not miss. I'm proud of him, but he's kind of found that predator mode. You saw that a little bit in Oklahoma a few years ago.
I did. He's getting it in him now.
It's all on now.
Yeah.
And Taylor's getting there. Let me give you a real quick story. Our UP of Michigan hunt, which, by the way, if you've never visited the UP of Michigan, and I mean, like, get way up in there, put it on your bucket. One of the most beautiful places in this country, period. It's spectacular. We had never shot a double together, and we had two birds come in the first morning. It took about an hour and a half to get them to get into shooting range. And I had told her, you shoot the one on your side, I'll shoot the one on my side. It's 3, 2, 1, bang. Well, in the heat of the moment, she was shooting the bird that had first showed up. So like they'd come out like this, but they continued to switch. Well, she stayed on her bird, and on video, I'll send this to you eventually. We shot the same turkey.
Oh my gosh!
So both, but you can
call that a double? I mean, a double shot.
Hold on. So you can see the clouds of shot coming and hitting at the exact same time. Like, she made a good shot, I made a good shot, but I assumed right away that she missed, and I was incorrect. And she shot a couple more times at the other Tom, wasn't able to connect. And then the Jake that was with these two, he stood out there at 45 yards and she dumped him like a 2.7 offsuit. So it was
really
got pretty good. But again, remember the company you're hunting with, and I think I probably confused her and overwhelmed her a little bit. But Taylor stayed tough and came through. So, where your decoys are placed is critical. So I, definitely shot and decoy were super important this year, Kevin. But I'm telling you right now, I did more scouting this year than I ever have. And
really?
I don't think. Listen, I'm not beating my own chest here, but we killed the birds we killed when we did because I knew they were going to be there. Plain and simple.
Yeah. You didn't show up in hopes that they would be there. You just knew this is where they're at. This is their patterns are.
Burning truck gas, quality binoculars, Moultrie trail cameras. Those are huge this year. I kind of went overboard on the cameras. I think I was running 7 or 8 cell cameras.
When have you not
even
gone overboard on trail cameras?
Refresh, nothing. But hey, at the very least, it gives you up-to-date current information. But above all else, man, listen, whether you're using fanning, decoy, trail cameras, expensive calls, binoculars, blind, without, I don't care. You still have to get out. You still have to be in the right place. You got to set things up correctly. You got to make a good shot, and you got to take care of your landowners. If you're a permission guy like me, right now we got a whole stack of thank you cards. We're going to write a list, and then by the middle of June, I hope to have visited every landowner that gave us permission and let them know that without them, it wouldn't happen. So not pat myself on the back, because without those folks,
are you going to do any are you going to do any aerial footage of their properties for them, or give them a nice photo booth or anything like that?
Yeah. And again, this isn't a hard and fast rule, but the first year with a new landowner, I do fly the drone and get them an aerial photo of their property. And when we were in the UP of Michigan, I was able to fly the drone, get a picture, get it produced at Walgreens, and go get a frame from Walmart. And I'm telling you, it cost me less than $10, and that guy was overwhelmed with it. He was like, "This is so cool. I've always wondered what we looked like from the air. Could never afford the helicopter photos, they used to do."
Yeah.
So that or we started, my wife is a fantastic baker. I've been taking advantage for 20 years. And she is good. She makes bread. We hand delivered a loaf of bread to a lot of folks last year, and I think that went a really long ways too. But I don't think money is the right way to go. And gift cards is questionable. You and I did that in Iowa together, and it worked out well. But
we did it because we had 2 days to hunt. We never, we had shot opportunities on a property, but that was our easy way to go, hey, we really appreciate it. The guy, allowed us on his property, but you got to do something, whether it's, putting in some work, mending fence, or go and visit. Just have a visit.
A firm handshake goes a long ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I know
it's being personal. And Kevin, I've made friends that I otherwise wouldn't have had I not gone out there and met them. And a real short example, one of our properties this year, I was on a plane flying to Gros Savon down your neck of the woods, actually. And I got a voicemail from one of my landowner ladies, and I wasn't able to call because we were literally taking off. she was crying, left me a voicemail, and said that she had some terrible news about her husband. And I'm like, oh Lord. So Catherine called and went out and visited with her, and she had, like, the day before, her husband had committed suicide.
Oh gosh.
But here's the thing, like, you want to be someone that they can count on if they need you. Most of them don't ever call, but if they do, you better answer. And we weren't able to, we didn't really need to do anything. It was already taken care of, but she knew, I kind of feel like this shouldn't have been a high priority for her, but she knew we were about to come turkey hunting and wanted to let us know before we came out and knocked on the door that, somebody may not be there for a while. So
yeah,
the relationship side of it to me is probably my favorite part, because you meet some great people, and being able to go, visit with them in the off season or help out, like you say, chase the cows around, get them pushed back in if they get out. Lots of things you can do, but it's about the people, and we've had a great season, and it's almost over. We're not done yet, but almost over.
Not done yet, but I mean, to that end, it's not over yet, because those relationships go on through the next season. And you and I always kind of talk about this. We always kind of end up on like what we can do for people rather than what people can do for us.
Right.
And that's the most important part of building a relationship with these landowners. And if you get that foot in the door, man, make sure you're giving more than you're getting, because they remember it come other seasons. And then when other people start to come and call on them, they're going to think of you. They will hold you in very high regard.
Well, and the opposite, or not the opposite, but the same holds true with the people you share the woods with. I was able to take Tommy's fishing partner Jed out on his first turkey hunt ever, and it was a success. He loved it. And his dad, the same, a couple weeks later, a fantastic hunt that neither of them will forget. And if you have an abundance of opportunity, share it, right? We do. We work hard for our turkey land, but I got more turkeys than I need. And so I find opportunities to share the sport with people. And that's a great way to build relationships too. So it really is about the people, but man, I like tipping them over too when I get the chance.
Yeah. We don't mind that at all. We don't mind that at all. All right, dude. Well, man, that's quite the season, dude. Like I'm impressed, but I'm not surprised. Because you've always been a turkey killer and just knocking them down left and right.
It's been a fun season. I'm grateful for it. And honestly, it's gone so well. I've kind of joked with my wife, like, I think the Lord's preparing me for a downturn in activity, but as long as long as we can keep going, we're going to. And in the last hunt of the year, I'm excited about, Kevin. I'm going to have my dad and my father-in-law here for 2.5 days, and we're either going to sit together for part of that, or I'm going to probably have to pull Tommy out of school for a day. He's real bummed
to pull him out. Just pull him out. Like, it's something that he will never forget. Like, see, that's the problem I have with not, like, the day and age we're living in. Not enough dads do that. Yeah. They don't take their kids out of school. I do. Like, I'll take mine out, and it gets to a point where you got to watch those unexcused absences, because in Louisiana, they can take away your hunting and fishing license if your kids have too many unexcused absences. Well, tell me what sense Minnesota, that makes.
You can go to jail. So, I mean, you're right. You got to think about it.
I mean, you can nod your head on this podcast to tell the viewers that, yes, you are not going to pull Tommy out of school for this hunt.
Well, but you're right. It's a memory. And I lost my grandparents at a pretty young age, and we lived in Alabama for 5 years where they were only seeing them once a year. So I don't have a problem doing it. And honestly, they miss 3 or 4 days a year. They both get good grades. I'm not worried about it.
They're good kids. Make sure they enjoy it.
Hey, before we leave.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So all the listeners by now surely know the story of Thomas and the shed bucks. 2 of them in the same season.
Same property.
So behind him, he has a shed buck mounted, like a shoulder mount, and then he's got a skull right next to it. And he's a man of his word, because he said, boy, if that's one, I'll mount that. If I shoot another one, I'll mount it. And sure enough,
it didn't really go that way.
Well,
I got the second one, and I was told I was going to be mounted.
The second one, you're mounting this. Yeah. But I mean,
you
you
know
still
what?
did
People
it.
stop in this room and they look at her like, what is that? I'm like, well, that's a mistake. Let me tell you a story. So
Yeah, it's a good conversation starter. And that's what his walls are filled with, are conversation starters. But well, all right, man. Well, dude, as always, it's always good to have you on here. You should just start becoming a co-host. We'll have you on all the time.
well, you know that if I open my mouth, words are going to fall out for a
Oh, I
long time.
know. And they're usually gold. It's
I
usually
don't know about
gold.
Well, I'm happy to share mistakes, happy to share successes, but like I say, this is just it's a wonderful country we live in, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to go, grateful for landowners, good friends. I'm looking forward to getting together with you again soon. And Iowa Preference Point is in, so we're still
all right. We're square up. I think we're going to try to make that happen next year.
I think so.
All right, next year it's on. But well, not this upcoming season, the season after that. So this year probably needs to be another trip out to Oklahoma.
I'm down.
Just saying.
Don't really have a whole lot on the schedule right now. So if you know a guy that's willing to, have fat kid from Minnesota, come on, let's go.
I know. Trust me, I know a guy, man. Just hit me up. All right, brother. All right, Thomas Allen, folks. Give him a big hand wherever you're at. He is worth it. All right, man. You be good. And as always, Gun Talk Hunters, you know the drill. Keep those muzzles pointing in a safe direction and always be on the hunt.